This is the Brewers POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Milwaukee Brewers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Officially a winning streak for your Milwaukee Brewers as Logan Henderson continues to show everybody why he belongs. The lawn ball back for the Brewers. Not one, not two, but 3 homers tonight as they beat the Baltimore Orioles in Game 2 of their 3-game series by a final score of 5-2. Hello, everyone. My name is Brandon Snide. You can follow me on Twitter at Brandon_Snide and all of my work over at WTMJ.com, covering all of your and my Wisconsin sports team. A big-time win for this Milwaukee Brewers, and I don't say that lightly, even though it's against the Baltimore Orioles. As the Brewers get the 5-2 win tonight, they improve to 24-25 on their season. As always, thanks for making Locked On Brewers your first listen each and every day. Greatly appreciate each and every one of you. And as always, throughout the course of this show, your thoughts, your comments, your questions, all will be answered. I got a lot of people already chiming in with player of the game, a lot of fan reaction, a lot of positive fan reaction. And this is mostly going to be a positive post-game show in a 5-2 win. Logan Henderson continues to dominate, but there were some failed chances and concerns at the plate. We'll discuss the negative things later on in the show, but we did want to get to the scoring summary brought to you by Monarch Money. And Bryce Terrain, I know I've said it more than one occasion, maybe more than a few occasions, that he's just been your all-around best player this season. I think Rhys Hoskins can make the case as of late at the plate, but Bryce Terrain getting the Brewers scoring started with the solo home run in the 3rd inning. The 4th inning, Sal Frelick with the 2-run shot, no doubter, looked like Game 3 against the New York Mets back in October. It's a sad, reflection on that game, but it was a cool home run nonetheless, and a cool home run tonight. That would make the score 3-0 Brewers, but the 7th inning would be a little bit troublesome for the Brew Crew. Logan Henderson would leave the game. Tyler Alexander would begin the inning. Back-to-back singles would lead to a double play for the Brewers off of Jerstead, and Bryce Terrain with an insane defensive play, gobbling up the ball at second base, tagging the base at second, and then making the throw at first. You felt good with 2 outs, but then Yoel Payamps would come in with 2 outs, a runner on third, Ramon Urias with an RBI single. Jackson Holiday would have an RBI triple again off Yoel Payamps. That would make the score 3-2. And then you were kind of scratching your head and worrying a little bit about this Milwaukee Brewers team and wondering how they were going to respond with a little bit of adversity when they kind of had cruised a little bit throughout the course of this game. A couple of failed opportunities throughout this game, though, to add some more runs. Their bullpen's been taxed throughout the last week or so. But Rhys Hoskins made an insurance home run in that 8th inning, a 4-2 game. And then the same inning, Jackson Holiday, who's as sure-handed as it gets over there at second base, airmailing a routine play at second base. That would score Frelick, who walked earlier in the inning, and the Brewers would go on for the 5-2 win as Abner Uribe strikes out the side in the 9th inning, and the Brewers beat the Baltimore Orioles, their 3rd straight victory. Tonight's final was 5-2. As I said, lots of reaction pouring in on the YouTube channel. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button and like and follow the show wherever you get podcasts. Every dayer leading off for us, Nick. I'm hoping for a sweep for sure. That's the standard. Nick, that is the standard. That was the standard that we had all discussed after the Brewers beat Minnesota on Sunday. I said, you got to go into this series against the Baltimore Orioles before you hit the road. A team that is now 15-32. They had now lost 8 in a row. There is no more 2 out of 3 when you bury yourself in a little bit of a hole. Now the Brewers just 1 game under 500. You got to get up to 500 tomorrow, and you have to win. There is nothing else that needs to be said. Eric over on YouTube, Yelich needs a day off or 2. Yes, he does. And he had a few opportunities today. I know he moved a few runners, but it is a swing and a miss through the zone, striking out, looking at strike 3, or it is a soft grounder to first base or second base. Yelich tonight, 0 for 4. That average has now dipped to 190. 190 right now for Christian Yelich. Not good for the Milwaukee Brewers. Drum over on YouTube, a part of the Everydayer crew. Why did Murphy put Payamps in? I didn't like the decision either. Grant Anderson was, I think, warming up shortly after Payamps went in. I don't really know the thought process behind Payamps. Wasn't technically a high leverage situation for him, but again, he kind of shows you why I don't think, he needs to be brought into any aspect of the Brewers games right now, as he gives up a few runs. One of those weren't his, but nonetheless, the Brewers do get the 5-2 win. Didn't necessarily like that decision, but it's a bullpen that's been taxed. McGill not pitching tonight. Abner Uribe is actually his third consecutive outing. Jared Koenig has been out for multiple games now. So kind of a bullpen that needs a little bit of a break. They got it tonight. 5 scoreless innings from Logan Henderson, who, again, and you guys can see it on the rundown there if you're watching live on YouTube, an absolute fireball. Like, he is just one of those guys. I put it on Twitter at Brandon_Snide. I do not want to see him back in Nashville. I don't care about service time. I don't care about any of that. I do not care. Logan Henderson, outside of Freddie Peralta, has been your best starting pitcher. Chad Patrick's been good. Logan Henderson is now 3-0. And a fun little fact about Logan Henderson. Actually, you know what? Let's get right into, let's not even waste any more time, because Logan Henderson tonight is going to get the honors of the player of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
5 innings pitched, no runs, 7 strikeouts for Logan Henderson per Kurt Hogue of the Journal Sentinel 2. This is a fun little nugget for Logan Henderson. He becomes the 10th pitcher since 1901 to strike out 7 or more batters in each of his first 3 career major league outings, and the first to ever do it donning a Milwaukee Brewers jersey in the history for the Milwaukee franchise. The youngster now 3-0 on the season, and he looks every bit of the part. Every single game he has come in for the Brewers, now 3-0, he has looked like he belongs. He is a part of your future. You hope Jacob Mizorowski is following in his footsteps shortly behind. The Brewers have something with Logan Henderson, who gets the player of the game tonight, as the Brewers beat the Baltimore Orioles tonight by a final score of 5-2. Now 24-25 on the season. As always, your thoughts, your comments are welcomed on the show. RB over on YouTube. This is the time to turn it around. I like how you think, RB, because I thoroughly agree. After they beat Minnesota, you didn't feel great those first 2 games of that Minnesota series. You would have liked to see it a better, homestand for this Brewers team. But where you were, the injuries, everything that's going against you, we're going to get into some numbers for the offense that has me concerned. But this is it. Like, this is your opportunity. The Pittsburgh Pirates did get a win tonight against the Cincinnati Reds. They do the Brewers a favor. The Cubs, however, did win 14-1, and the Cardinals lost. So you did a little bit of damage, in the National League Central as far as the standings go. We're not going to check the standings every day, but this week, and I bring up the standings because you have to win tomorrow's game. You cannot let these go. These 2, if you lose tomorrow, I feel like personally, you let these 2 wins go to waste. You should not be. You should be sweeping the Baltimore Orioles at home before you hit the road to go take on the Pittsburgh Pirates, who, again, a 4-game series out in Pittsburgh, the standard there is 3 wins. And I know you'll see Paul Skeens for one of those. 3 wins is the standard. This is the part of your schedule where you have to capitalize if you are the Milwaukee Brewers. Ben on YouTube, love to see the long ball, big part of the win. Orioles defense is in shambles. It was a weird Orioles defensive game today. They were stout up until that 7th inning where they just kind of tossed the ball around. But the Brewers, when it comes to hitting the long ball, today was the first home run they've hit at American Family Field since that Houston series, which feels like a lifetime ago. All of their runs, minus that final run, which was scored on an air, all their earned runs for the Brewers came on home runs. Bryce Terrain, Sal Frelick, and Rhys Hoskins, who Rhys Hoskins has been just absolutely dominant at the plate in the month of May so far for this Milwaukee Brewers team, behind William Contreras' 4-hit game last night. Him and Rhys have been the staples in the offense as the Brewers get another much-needed 5-2 win over the Baltimore Orioles. Now officially a win streak, and we'll see if they can carry that on to tomorrow, as they will play this same Orioles team who is sputtering out of control in Game 3 before they hit the road to Pittsburgh. Still lots to get into to the show. All your thoughts, all your comments, we'll get to all of them. Peter, I see you over there on YouTube. Eric on YouTube. Cody on YouTube. I got all of your comments coming up. And I did want to say, I don't want this to be a negative show because the Brewers did get the 5-2 win. But there is some trending numbers that have me worried about this Milwaukee Brewers team, especially as their schedule does begin to tighten up after this upcoming weekend. We'll dive into all of that coming up right after this. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment? It is easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. It's not just another budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, all of your investments, and all of your spending in one place. So you just stop managing your money and you can start to begin wealth with it. When I began using Monarch Money, I did not realize how much I was spending on Amazon, how much I was spending on Target. Now food delivery, now gas stations, going to Quick Trip before work, going to Starbucks. Now I budget smarter and I save more money. Instead of juggling all those multiple different apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. The offer here, guys, is real simple. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Again, that's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. One more time, guys. LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Milwaukee Brewers getting win number 3 in a row as they take care of the Baltimore Orioles 5-2 at American Family Field, improving that home record to 15-9 on the season. Bryce Terrain with a solo home run. Sal Frelick with a 2-run shot. Rhys Hoskins with a solo shot in the 8th inning. Abner Uribe dominating the 9th inning, striking out the side. And Logan Henderson, who was your player of the game, brought to you by Monarch Money. 5 innings pitched. No runs, 7 strikeouts, complete dominance for his 3rd win of the year, now 3-0. Lots more reaction pouring in on the YouTube channel. We'll get to all of it. Here's Cody. Cody dropping in. Let me find your comment here, Cody. No hustle out of Yelich and not tacking on more runs. Thumbs down, winning the game, of course. The plus, I don't care if it's Baltimore. You got to beat up those teams. And that's the frustrating point for me tonight. Great win. Celebrate the win. You needed the win. Again, I said it last night. Get it however you can get it. Way too many runners left on base. Way too many opportunities squandered. This offense, we have talked about what Contreras has done, what Rhys Hoskins has done, what Bryce Terrain has done. Again, this offense is going to go as Christian Yelich goes. If he continues to struggle, there's going to be times throughout the course of the season where this offense is not producing enough runs. Now, 5 runs last night, 5 runs tonight. This is the worst pitching staff in all of baseball. They've given up the most home runs. No starter has less than 5 ERA. Not a very good pitching staff for this Baltimore Orioles team. And the Brewers kind of let them off the hook up until late. They added on 2 more runs. Rhys Hoskins in the 8th with that solo shot. But it was 3-2 going into that 8th inning. The Brewers had 4 hits in the game. Frustrating offensively. They got to start getting it together because when you play teams with good pitching and you play teams with better defense, those wins are going to come very far and few in between. And the Milwaukee Brewers have got to figure out offensively, but it all begins and ends with Christian Yelich. And you got to get him going. When you lose a guy like Willy Adames and you don't replace, and that left side of the infield is struggling, as we have seen with Caleb Durbin and Joey Ortiz, who combined for a 1-for-6 tonight at the plate. Those things are going to tend to happen with this offense, but they have got to get it going offensively. But you'll take the win where you can get them. The Milwaukee Brewers beating the Baltimore Orioles 5-2. Drum on YouTube. Hoskins, Contreras, Frelick, and Terrain are heating up. I wish they would hit for more power, even though they had those 3 home runs today. I think the thing with that is just consistency. And you've gotten more out of Hoskins. Contreras has come on as of late. I'll always put an asterisk next to Contreras' name. When you're dealing with the injury that he's dealing with, Pat Murphy had mentioned, I believe it was this morning on 620 WTMJ on Wisconsin's Morning News, that's something that might require surgery when the season's over. So again, like the way that he's playing and what he's battling through has to be, at least discussed. And I don't want to give him an excuse, but for what he's dealing with, a broken finger, it's not something easy. And he's continued to muscle through it, and he's helping carry this Brewers team. He's a big reason they won last night. Maybe the reason, actually was the reason they won last night. Peter on YouTube at the Locked On Brewers postcast. Henderson might be our best pitcher this season so far. I don't think you can argue it. I don't think you can argue it. He's 3-0, a 1.69 ERA. A lot of pitches thrown tonight, but he had 7 strikeouts. He had 90 pitches thrown in those 5 innings, but he only allowed 2 hits. I mean, I don't think anybody sitting here right now. Freddie Peralta is your leader, as far as starting pitching goes, maybe throughout the course of the entire clubhouse. Logan Henderson has everything. He's the real deal. And I've said it before. I'll continue to say it. I understand why they, want him to go down and be back in Nashville and build up his confidence throughout, AAA and call him up when needed. But he has been, number one, he's been your most consistent starting pitcher. And number 2, he has been your best. He's now 3-0 on the season. And we mentioned those numbers, 10th pitcher since 1901 to strike out 7 or more batters in each of his first 3 career major league outings. And he's the first Brewer to do it. So an absolutely fantastic outing again from Logan Henderson. He's your player of the game, brought to you by Monarch Money, as the Brewers get the 5-2 win. We did mention some things I did want to talk about. It's going to seem a little bit negative, but we're going to have to get into it because offensively, this Milwaukee Brewers team continues to frustrate me. Let's get into it.
This is what you'll be talking about.
These numbers aren't going to be final until all the games continue throughout the course of this evening. But after the game, the Brewers now 4th worst in Major League Baseball in OPS, the 6th worst batting average in Major League Baseball, the 3rd worst slugging percentage, and the 4th least home runs hit. Now, they had 3 tonight, so it's going to sound like, oh, what are you talking about? But tonight is an anomaly because they have not necessarily had that consistency as far as power goes. They got to get some consistency. This is the week that we had talked about. This is where it begins. This is where it should begin against a really bad Baltimore team. And it continues Thursday when they take on the Pittsburgh Pirates in Pittsburgh. It's another team in a week where, in a stretch of 7 games, I think the standard right now for this Brewers team is 6 wins. You're going to get Paul Skeens for one of them, as I've mentioned. I think it's 6 wins. You put yourself in a little bit of a hole. You're slowly climbing yourself out of it. But again, squandered chances at the plate tonight were frustrating. It was a 3-0 game. It felt like it should have been 8-0. It felt like it should have been a game where it didn't matter what happened in that 7th inning. If the Orioles scored 1, 2, 3 runs, it wouldn't have mattered. But it did because the opportunities failed. And right now, a lot of that rests on the shoulders, unfortunately, of the young stud in Jackson Chourio, who's going through his own, struggles. He did snap his 0-for-25 streak. He did have a hit tonight, which felt really good to see him get that hit and have a smile on his face. Scary incident out in the outfield where he tried catching that ball, ran into the wall, which scored a run for the Orioles, which didn't end up mattering. However, those two, Jackson Chourio and Christian Yelich, one of those two at minimum has to get going. I don't want to keep pounding, the sand, telling you that this offense is going to go as Christian Yelich goes, but it is. If he's struggling, this team's offense is going to struggle. It just is. That's just the reality of it until you get Rhys Hoskins, William Contreras, and Jackson Chourio all on the same page and not one or two of the other here and there. And Rhys Hoskins, has over the month of May, has been your best hitter. William Contreras had a good night last night. We talked about his finger. But Christian Yelich and or Jackson Chourio, one of them two, have got to get going for this Milwaukee Brewers team. Again, those are not good numbers. It is still early in the season. I know, I understand that. 24-25 now on the year. The season's nowhere near over. But those numbers are worrisome if you're looking at the difference between this year and last year's team and the success, especially in the win and loss column. But the win tonight did happen as the Brewers beat the Baltimore Orioles 5-2 for their 24th win of the season. Now 15-9 on the year. They'll look to make it 4 in a row tomorrow. Game 3 against those Orioles before they hit the road against the Pittsburgh Pirates. That'll do it for tonight's show. My thanks to each and every one of you for always making Locked On Brewers your first listen each and every day. Thanks for being a part of our program here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. And wherever you get podcasts, you can get Locked On Brewers content. And as always, feels good when it's a win, but win, lose, or draw, it is always go Brewers. Talk to you soon.